Today's video takes on a slightly different tact. It's a bit of a self-reflection lesson learned about the independent worker, both from if you're a fellow independent worker like myself, or you're a business that's looking to hire independent contractors, consultants, and people to work on and in your organization. Things to think about, and the importance of what value means to you and how that can determine the success of a project. So stay tuned, coming up next. An ode to value, the life of the independent worker. The past few weeks have been pretty bumpy for a lot of people, and for a number of reasons which I won't necessarily go into now. It's been a real mixture of personal and professional challenges that have meant we've all had to kind of keep our head down and weather the storm a little more than usual. So please excuse the slightly introspective look at things for a second, but I'm hoping that a glimpse into some of the lessons I've learned recently may just serve as some solace for someone else, a similar position, who may be stuck in the same kind of position, or stuck in the middle with me, as I call it. The story is like this. When you hire Fresh Brew Marketing, you hire me, Katy, an individual and an independent. But an individual and independent that comes with over 15 years of marketing experience. A world traveler, an empathetic and sympathetic person, a doer, someone who's action-orientated, and someone who just seeks to understand what drives you first before just doing something I think you need. And an overall good egg, a nice person, I hope. And while my day-to-day may be void of the banter of a traditional office environment, there is value that keeps popping up in being in a rather isolating world of freelance. That has taught me a few critical lessons about just keeping on. And I wanted to share some of these with you today. If you are looking at using freelancers, if you're a fellow independent worker yourself, I wanted to share this with you. Spend your time with people who value it. From friendships that have slowly dwindled or become disappointments, through to clients and projects who may not have grasped the value of the ability to deliver over the cost of the bottom line. What being independent has taught me over the past few years of life after corporate is that building any kind of relationship, be it personal, romantic, or professional, otherwise, is and always should be a symbiotic one. One where actions result only as a result of working together. I cast my mind back for a second to my year 8 biology class, where we were learning about relationships in the natural world and how varying results were being achieved depended on how much or how little they worked together, how much harm they had on each other, etc. And instinctively, I started to list relationships, professional and otherwise, where one or the other occurred. It's amazing. Many of which I'm thankful to add still continue to grow to this day. Amazing. But I look at the ones that kind of dwindled along the way and might not be as strong as they once were. And I start to think objectively and without emotion, because that's important to kind of get any kind of lesson out of it, about the real reasons they did. And I realized that the core of the relationships that dwindled were formed on a single point of reference: a lack of understanding of value. That lack of value either appeared in the form of unrealistic expectation, an understanding of value with anterior motives, understanding of values based on different visionary outcomes than agreed, or an understanding of value based on a complete lack of understanding of value. So not knowing at all what it looks like. And it's only when I think back objectively on what value means, especially now as an independent contractor, that I realize the relevance it bears on my current working life and how I run my business. And actually my whole life. Very interesting. The next thing really that I've learned is not sweating the big stuff. Yep, I said big. Ridiculous, I know, but big. Big stuff happens. Look at coronavirus. Look at how it's completely transformed our world. That's life. And sometimes stuff happens more to some than others. And yes, we're reminded to not get consumed by the smaller, less significant hurdles that cross our paths. But inevitably, the big stuff arrives at our door, and what happens if we don't know how to cope is we crumble into a blubbering mess. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not trivializing crisis, not in the least. I've experienced my fair share of upset and mayhem and chaos, and I've seen people who have experienced far worse than I could ever imagine. But where we've been inclined to completely fall apart, losing all hope of any silver lining or plan B or remedy, we resort to doing the only thing we know and the only way we know how to handle crisis, depending on where we are emotionally. And that's quite often where things go from bad to seriously bad. We just crumble. And when you're faced with the big stuff and it's staring you in the face with its menacing red eyes and salivating yellow mouth with and a hand raised above your head in a stage of near victory, that's when you really know that it's time to get your focus back. And so many times I've been in that position, I think, okay, Katy, sort yourself out. In whatever way you can, regain control, even if you don't quite know what that control is and how you're going to do that. And for me, what I've learned really sets my focus on the right track again is it usually involves starting to list, in no particular order, every little thing I can think of that I am thankful for. It looks something like this, like work in progress. I will just randomly start with small things. I'm thankful for a roof over my head. I'm thankful that I'm warm and comfortable every night. I'm thankful that I have milk in the fridge for my tea. I'm thankful for having shoes that fit my feet. I'm thankful for a voice to sing with. I'm thankful for dogs that depend on me, that I can take for walks. I'm thankful for a garden that continues to grow, even if the weeds are staging their own rebellion in the beds. I'm thankful for fingers that work and a brain that can think. I'm thankful for a tap that, when opened, flows with drinkable running water. I'm thankful for eyes that can see, ears that can hear, skin that can feel. And then, yes, I go on to the bigger things. I'm thankful for friends and family, amazing clients and projects that I can engage with and work on, etc., etc., etc. But sometimes I need to just start ultra simply and get my head focused and geared to the realization that I do actually have more than I feel at the moment. And yes, sometimes, admittedly, a gin or two may help, or even an entire slab of dairy milk whole nut chocolate, but we won't discuss that right now. And although it doesn't make the big stuff disappear, it simply gives me room to breathe, space to think, and an ability to ask for help when I need it most. Something that is critical when the only way out appears to be despair and destruction. The next lesson that I've really learned is understanding your true worth. I love this quote. When a client quibbles about the low rate of engagement versus the rate of payment you've quoted, consider this. They're not paying for the 30 minutes it takes to deliver something. They're paying for the 10 years of experience you've built up that enables you to deliver that result in 30 minutes. Love that quote. Communicating value to someone who doesn't understand it is probably one of the hardest lessons I've had to learn to master as an independent consultant. So, for example, business A calls in for my help. In my case, maybe they've seen my work somewhere, or I've been recommended by someone, or they've met me somewhere and they'd like to discuss how I can help them with their business, marketing, what have you. They are almost entirely unfamiliar with the marketing mix, having very little understanding of the varying levels of value delivery across marketing channels, where in their minds, a tweet holds the same weight as a face-to-face appointment and the same weight as a massive billboard sign in a parking lot. Back and forth we discuss until proposal stage, upon where they are unable to make the connection between value delivery, the little amount of time they receive from me, compared to the cost involved in securing my services. They can't seem to make that connection. They think more delivery equals more time. Sometimes it's not the case. The biggest lesson of going it alone to me has been identifying the rate of value you place on your knowledge, insight, and the ability to deliver the results. Now, I've been really, really lucky in that the clients and the projects I've worked on and with, I've had the amazing good fortune to work in relationships that have developed into symbiotic ones that saw true tangible benefits throughout the entire duration of that relationship. But for many others and many of my colleagues that I've worked with, the road may not always have been as easy. That's not to say that mine was easy. There were many occasions where I've just completely undervalued my ability to deliver right in the beginning, and then find myself stuck with the need to renegotiate, rediscuss, or review a lesson which I'm still learning and which happened a lot really in the early stages of when I set the business up. So I guess my rambling today is really just to salute independent workers all over the world, whether you're earning the big bucks, amazing, or whether you're just churning the wheels to keep things going day after day. The world is filled with stereotypes and expectations that make us judge ourselves against expectation, and removes the incredible fact that in 2019, 99.3% of all private businesses in the UK was made up of small and medium-sized enterprises, people doing their own thing and underpinning a massive economy and simply trying to make their own mark in the world in the best way they know how. Some succeed and some don't. That's just how life is. But there will always be someone new who just wants to give it a go. So in the spirit of all of that, well done to all of us independents. And to you business owners who are looking for services and looking for help, use us as much as you can, because we're agile to work with you as quickly or as slowly as you need us to. Make sure we both understand value that we bring to each other. Make sure that we can build a relationship that is based on growth. And make sure, test our credibility, test our experiences, test the things that we are telling you, because we come with years of experience, years of know-how. We've learned how to work and adapt to very, very changing environments. And all we want to do is enrich your business and enrich your value offering and your value proposition that you give to your own clients by working together with us. So I guess that's all the ramblings that I had for you today. And so salute to all the independent people out there. If you have enjoyed this video and some of the things I've been talking about today, if you'd like to discuss it with me in a little bit more detail or even just give some feedback, I would love to hear from you. Go to freshbrewmarketing.com and get in touch with me via the contact page. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel and share it and like it and do your thing. There will be more videos that come out regularly. A whole mixture of stuff, DIY tips for you as a business on what you could be doing, some ideas on on things that you should be thinking about in growing your brand and how you should be working with your teams. All of that stuff will be coming out regularly. So until we speak again, take care of yourself. I look forward to hearing from you. Signing off for now. Take care.